We are back with Roger Smith. September. Holy cow. Not September. It's November 28th, 2012. And we're going to spend some time with Roger, and we're going to talk about bluegrass fiddle. We're going to talk about a Maggini violin that Roger's got in his lap. And we'll talk about how Roger was influenced in his beginning playing in the world of bluegrass bluegrass fiddle playing. So, Roger, if you would spend a moment, let's talk about the violin that you have in your hand.
Well, this came about by a guy by the name of Bailey. I was giving him banjo lessons, and he was telling me that he had a shotgun that the guy wanted to trade him a fiddle for. And he wanted me to go with him to look at it. And I said, well, after I look at it, I said, I'll let you know what I think about it. And he took me from Newcastle, that's where he lived at the time, and we went to this guy's house over close to Shirley, Indiana.
Indiana, right?
And this gentleman had supposedly it was a original Canaries. Be worth a lot of money if it was an original. And he said he picked this Maggini up in a hawk shop at Indianapolis. He paid $20 for it.
$20.
Yeah.
What year would you believe that he may have purchased this for $20 in the pawn shop?
I didn't ask him,
right?
But I don't know how long. I don't really,
how long he had it.
How long he had
right.
had it. But after I played both he didn't want to sell the Canaries, but I played it since I was there, and
this would have been late 50s, early 60s. When you were?
I think it was in 59.
59, okay.
And I like the sound of this one. And it's a nice looking,
it's a beautiful instrument.
It's a nice looking violin.
Yes.
Not a fiddle. Fiddle's made out of wood.
Yeah, okay.
This is a violin.
There you go. What do you hear, even today, when you play it, that separates it from the 25 or 30 other violin fiddles that you have sitting here at the house?
Nothing comes very close to it. I've had a lot of Maggini fiddles. I've had one that I kept when I was playing out on the road, but as a second, just in case something happened to this one. But
this has always been your primary instrument?
The difference in the two was the quality of tone that this fiddle has here. And the quality is on every string that you hit on this, and it's done everything I've asked it to do. So I'll say this about the fiddle. I was talking to Bill about his mandolin, and he said, I've been offered $100,000. This has been several years ago for this mandolin.
Right.
But he said, I wouldn't take $1 million for it. And I really didn't understand that until after I'd had this one so long, and I said, you know, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but you could offer me $1 million for this, and I wouldn't sell it to you. I can't play $1 million, but I can play this.
Absolutely.
And I don't need the money.
Right.
I probably could use it if I had $1 million.
Right.
But I'd rather have the fiddle than to have the $1 million.
And I think that's the fascinating part of an instrument that speaks to a player, and the player speaks to the instrument, and then that bond is formed, and that bond is for life.
Yeah, they'll throw dirt in my face before anybody gets this one.
There you go. Maiden's Prayer.
Yeah, part of it.
Once or twice. How did you first get started with the violin? What were some of those earlier influences? And at about what age did you pick up the violin or the fiddle and start to work to master the instrument?
Well, you can count the years back. I'm 68 or 86, and I've been playing the fiddle since I was 12 years old, or trying to.
Sure.
My brother brought a fiddle into the house and laid it on the bed with a bow. Didn't have no case, nothing, just a fiddle and a bow.
About 1938.
Okay. And I picked that fiddle up off the bed and started. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, my brothers say, they come by, we come out of the field, and I'd pick that fiddle up and start scratching around on it, and they'd say, "Seesaw, seesaw, put that thing up." Well, I did. I put it up under, well, I didn't put it up under my chin then. I held it this way.
Right. So there were old-time fiddlers in and around where...
That I heard playing.
Right. Now, do names come to mind?
Gallion was a guy that played some fiddle that was old-timey. That's where I got that Sally Gooden, not Sally Gooden, but Sally Ann
Yes.
from.
They would be playing square dances
Square dances.
primarily, or just get-togethers,
Yeah.
social get-togethers
Right.
on weekends.
Yes, every time I had the opportunity, I would listen to anybody that.
Now, would you take the fiddle with you and stand next to them, or were you just trying to duplicate what you heard?
I'd listen to them and then go home and try to duplicate it.
Okay.
The best that I can recall, I could listen to something like this evening, and tomorrow it'd still be in my head for some reason, and I could bring some of it up,
Right.
not all of it. And I'd pick up so much there, and then I'd pick the rest up later on.
as a young person, that was a gift that you had and could start to command that as you started to move forward, learning to play several different instruments then.
Right, right. Yes, God's been good to me about music. And in fact, music has put a lot of bread on my table.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kept me from going hungry.
Yeah. And the joy
Yeah,
of friendships
Yeah.
and other people.
right. Yes, I've played with a lot of different bands and helped a lot of people cut albums and
Sure.
things like that.
Now, as you were moving from 12, 13, 14, and then started to play some square dances yourself,
Right.
about what age would you have been? 18, 19, 20 by the time you'd gotten to that point, or were you younger than that?
Well, I was playing younger than that. For dances, I was playing maybe by the age of 15,
Okay.
16,
Yes.
and hitting some of the moonshine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get a little tipsy, but you can
Underage drinking?
underage drinking, yeah, and that was that old rot gut liquor too.
Right.
Of course, it was good corn whiskey and
Mhm.
rye,
Right.
but
But you would be playing with a banjo player,
by the
and
name of Buster Krause.
right. So it was banjo and fiddle, and just in woodshedding, playing square dances.
That's it. Of course, you know the time is what they're after. The timing.
Right.
It don't make any difference how good the music is or how
Right.
bad it is.
Mhm.
As long as the timing is good, why
Right.
that's all.
And
they
could play
ask.
for 15 and 20 and 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah, longer.
Yeah. Get it. Okay.
And maybe start in at say 7 o'clock at night and be playing at 2 o'clock in the morning
Wow.
and be wore completely out, and they'd take up a few more dollars and say,
Hmm. Keep
"Here,
going.
Yeah, if you play another couple hours, we'll pay you this money."
Right. Now, at that age, other than the local influences, were you able, or were you starting to hear any recorded music or any radio music on the fiddle that was starting to influence you?
Next door neighbor, he would buy the albums of Bill Monroe, and I'd go out to his house because he lived about a quarter of a mile from where we did, and I'd listen to those albums.
Who would you remember as maybe being the first fiddle influence on those albums that you might have later met or come to know better, but at the time maybe you weren't even aware of who that person was? I mean, Howdy Forrester? Chubby
No.
Wise?
No, you got a name there.
Art Wooten?
Wooten, I think now.
Tommy Magnus?
Tommy Magnus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would have heard Tommy early on.
But I didn't meet either one of them.
Okay. Sure. Then, and then Benny Martin.
Yes, I met Benny.
Tell us a Benny Martin story. There's thousands of Benny Martin stories.
Oh, Benny. Well, I came to one of the shows at Bean Blossom. I was working for a Liquid Transport Corporation out of Indianapolis on a Sunday, and Benny was putting on a show there at Bean Blossom by himself,
Mm-hmm.
and
White shoes.
Bill
and all.
was there, and I played fiddle for Bill that day. And Benny and I was sitting out in front of the old barn. This is at the night show, and he said, you ought to stay with Bill. And I said, Benny, I said, I can't stand that riding, sitting, sleeping, sitting up.
Traveling in the
car.
the car, the extended station wagon.
Oh, well, don't make any difference.
It's still rough.
If you still sitting up, you still, I don't care if
not
you're
sleeping.
in a rowboat,
Right.
What. But that's the reason I wouldn't stay with Bill to start with, because you couldn't get no rest. They don't make bathrooms that they put in cars, and they don't make restaurants that they put in cars, and
Right.
they don't put no bed in there. So now they travel by bus now, the ones that can afford the buses,
Right.
or motorhomes. But I'll tell you right now, when you put 6 people in a Cadillac limousine, plus a couple of Pekingese dogs, and all the suitcases and all the instruments, and the bass is tied up on top, that is one big pile of mess.
And no interstate highways.
Well, once in a while you'd hit a short stretch.
Right.
But most of it was 2-lane road.
Right. So as you started to hear Tommy Magnus and some of the other early fiddle players with Bill Monroe, and you had that capacity to hear it and then work to duplicate it, and you were moving into your 20s, then
I'd say to myself, you'll never be able to play fiddle like that.
really,
Really.
okay,
Because that's almost a dream. And, you hear ball players talking today about they want to be like the best ball player going.
sure,
Everybody's shooting for that.
yes,
Well, all musicians, they try to get to as
Sure.
close to the top as they can get. You never get to the top with music.
right,
There is no top. You just keep
evolving,
That's right.
always keep evolving,
Bill Monroe never did reach the top.
certainly,
He reached the top as far as the top goes. But
for a music style and what he wanted to express out of that music
But
style.
Dave, I listen to myself play now. I listen to some music that I played with Bill Monroe been quite some time ago. I didn't realize I was as good as I was.
Sure,
But there was some good fiddle players played ahead of me over there at Bean Blossom.
right.
And
Who are some of those that come to mind that did influence you?
One was, what is his name? Tex Logan.
Tex Logan, sure,
Tex, good fiddle player.
right,
I listened to him fiddle, and he fiddled Cotton Eye Joe, and I came in behind him and fiddled Fire on the Mountain,
right,
and also Maple Sugar. So I found out that I really could play a fiddle fairly decent.
right. Well, we are always our own worst critic,
Yeah.
absolutely, because when we listen to ourselves, we always hear what we could have done, but other people only hear what you are doing, not what you think you could have done.
Well, the 62 tape of me and Vernon and
Yes,
Ford and
Mm-hmm.
and what's his name?
Oh,
out of Tennessee.
Yeah, the banjo player that was Larry McNeely's uncle.
Yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
he was fine banjo.
Yes,
We cut some good music there.
right. So as you moved into the world of Bill Monroe and started playing fiddle with Bill, much like we had talked about earlier about banjo, did Bill make any direct comments or direct gestures about fiddle playing that he wanted something special, something different than the way you interpreted how you were approaching bluegrass fiddle?
No, no, he never did say anything to me about
Okay.
should do it this way or
Okay.
that way, or should change this or
Mm-hmm.
that, because I made sure that I told him that if there's something that he could add to what.
Right.
But I learned an awful lot of fiddle because fiddle and the mandolin play the same.
Yes.
You pick one and
Yes.
blow the other.
Spend a moment, Roger, if you would, and give a young fiddle player some examples of your approach to bowing, your approach to double stops, your approach to playing certain chord formations that would be different than what you hear and what you're seeing out there in today's bluegrass fiddle world. Double stops, that fundamental difference between what you're hearing today and what was the starting point, and really what makes a person like yourself different than what you're hearing today.
Okay, I'll tell you what helped me. To start with, when you play, well, when you start anything, that's playing out the words. Someday we'll meet again, sweetheart.
Prime melody notes.
Now, you can double up on that. You can double up like that.
Bow contact on string.
But the next thing that I did that taught me quite a bit, I thought, was I took the bridge on my fiddle and I flattened that bridge out to where that I could play 3 strings. I can't do it because the bridge is too high,
Too much arch.
too arch.
Yeah, too arch.
But if anybody that's wants to learn to play triple stops,
Mm-hmm.
they can cut their bridge down to where their bow will cover 3 strings without having to put so much pressure on it.
Right.
And it takes a little while to get that bridge like you want it to where that you can separate each string, because they're going to be awfully close together about moving the bow, about hitting the string you don't want to hit.
Right.
But if you'll do that and learn to play triple stops, that teaches you a great deal too. But double stops is playing two strings.
Right.
And it's, I always say it's just like lead, tenor, and baritone, and bass.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing,
Yeah, the supporting harmonic.
right?
Now, in today's fiddle players, do 2 or 3 names come to mind that take you back, if you would, to a style of fiddle that you learned and have stayed with? Is there a couple, 3 names that come to mind today that kind of emulate your approach?
Benny Martin. I copied Benny
Okay.
as much as I could copy, or what I heard him do. There's only one Benny Martin fiddle player.
Right.
I've never heard anybody else. That the closest anybody comes would be Michael Cleveland.
Yes.
And what Michael has done, he has taken recordings of Benny Martin and
Dissected them,
yeah,
and that ability to hear, because that's what his
if you listen to Michael Cleveland, you'll be listening to some of Benny Martin.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember Benny Martin
Yes.
and saw Benny Martin perform, Benny was like a jar of Jello.
Mm-hmm.
He shook all over.
Yes.
In time,
Right.
he was all rhythm.
Yes.
Had one of the finest dish rag bow arms.
Fluid.
Right.
Yes, very fluid.
And he did a lot of this.
Yes. Right.
But he was, if you're a fiddle player, you could really enjoy watching that guy play, because he played some pretty stuff.
Soulful.
And
Very soulful
when
music.
he grabbed that 8-string fiddle, now the way he
Yeah,
had
there was
that,
a whole orchestra coming out
the
of
way
that
he had
instrument.
that baby tuned up,
Right.
he got an awful lot out of that.
Right.
Well, he left some good music here for the people to
Yeah.
learn how to play if they want to do it.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to come
Dig
up
it out.
with an 8-string fiddle.
Yeah, dig it out. You and I were talking earlier before we started about a name that doesn't get a lot of recognition, Dale Potter.
Yeah. Well, Dale was he was the only guy that I can recall that could play country, swing, grass, and separated. You see, a lot of people play. They play some bluegrass. They play country in with it, and they play swing in with it.
Mm-hmm.
They mix it up.
Right.
But I played a show with Bill right across the gate there on 16th Street in Indianapolis. The night before they had the 500-mile race,
Okay.
we put on 5 shows there in a tent. There was a tent there,
Mm-hmm.
and we put on 5 shows in that tent. And Dale came up with Bill and Bessie and myself and Vernon McQueen. Vernon played guitar, Dale played fiddle, and I played banjo.
Right.
And Bessie played bass, and Bill played the mountain. And we did 5 shows up there, and fine bluegrass fiddle player. I expected to hear some swing stuff in it. No.
He could separate.
Yeah, he separated.
Right.
He was playing with Bill Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
But then if he was playing with Ray Price, it's all country.
Yes. Yeah.
He was a fine fiddle player. I mean, fine. That's where Bobby Hicks gets all his swing.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby gets a lot of his Benny Martin stuff from Benny Martin.
Sure.
I did too.
Right. Take us through a song that you wrote. Play Alice's Waltz, if you would. See if we can catch a little bit of that. Inspiration for that tune is standing in the other room right now cooking a meal for us. Your wife, Alice.
Alice? Alice, come here a minute. Come around the hall.
Okay, you're going to get on, you have to be on this video.
Me?
Yeah, you have to be. Come
Me?
come around on the other side.
Why'd you tell me to come to the hall for? I could have come back there, couldn't I?
Well, yeah, you could have.
I thought that best.
I want you to meet my wife. She's
Is he still on the...
she's been the best thing that I've had for 30 years. Are you there now, Alice?
I'm here.
Well, say hello to all.
Having known
people.
Roger since, let's see, oh gosh, I was 11 years old and I'm now 60. I can vouch for what Roger has said. It is the finest thing that has ever happened in Roger Smith's life is Alice and her influence on Roger. And these are two of the finest people that you'll ever want to meet in your whole life.
Dave, you're a
Thank
very
you.
fine young man.
Thank
and
you.
I'm talking
Young.
young.
Okay, well, we know that story.
Yes, great. You're great.
But the reason I asked Roger to play Alice's Waltz, to me, that it encompasses your fiddle style, the influence that you'll leave, okay, because we'll all be gone sooner or later, okay. But as a musical expression, that song speaks to me because of the relationship between the two of you, and that's the greatest part to me about music, and the legacy that music leaves. I'm going to ask you to play another more traditional show how you would and your approach to playing Big Mun. To me, for me personally, it's one of the finest driving. It doesn't have to be fast, but it's one of the finest driving bluegrass numbers that Monroe ever wrote, and not enough people play it and play it well. A little bit of back up and push. We're putting him to work now, folks. Sweet. Now, one more, at least one more. You choose a vocal that would have been a Bill Monroe influenced vocal, and show how you might kick it off, and then as if it was being sung or another person, show some of the background vamping and approach that you would use to back up. To me, the fascinating part in listening to those passages is how banjo will mimic some of the very backup licks that you were playing, or some of the melody licks that you were playing there, because the melody's still the melody. What else? Play another short passage of another song that might come to mind. Good Woman's Love.
up on it.
How about a blues style number?
Like what? Name one.
Oh, how would you approach when Monroe was playing Bluegrass Stomp? Great. We're going to stop right now. I've got a feeling that by the time we post this, that I'll be back here for more fiddle, because there's so much more. If we just take those type of clips, there's so much more that we need to capture, but this is a good starting point. Take us out with one. Take us out with a song. Little watermelon on the vine.
Little watermelon on the vine.
Thanks, Roger.